Alright, hey guys. So I haven't really done a video in a while. I thought it was time to do another one because I like doing them. But this video is going to be a little different. It's going to be power rankings, kind of where I see everybody currently. The standings are one thing, but this is kind of where I see each team and how good I think they actually are. So this So the rankings will include, how many points you scored, how many points you've gone up against, schedules, overall standings, and a couple other things. That's kind of what factors into your ranking. So sitting at the bottom in 10th place, I have your mom's favorite team, Gilbert. Gilbert, I'd like to think that your team isn't complete shit, but, you're not giving me much hope that your team can really do anything. You've only put up 100 points once, and that was your only win. So you got that one win, and the next week you played me, and I had to do it. I had to, bring you back down to earth and shrink that head of yours. But, maybe your game plan should be score 100 points. When you score 100 points, you win. So I think that's kind of the game plan you should stick to. In 9th place, we have Billy. And Billy, I also had you sitting at the bottom with your 2 wins because, let's be honest, your team isn't much better. You can blame Jamal Charles for being injured and Des Bryant for being injured. But really, you don't have a whole lot of other, hope going for your team. Yeah, you got Julio and Drew Brees, but otherwise, your running backs are awful. Just some of the worst running backs. Ingram, 1-run fumble, return for a touchdown. Didn't see another rep. He might not see another rep the rest of the game the way Hightower played. The only reason you're ahead of Gilbert is because you have the most points for you. So you might have scored some points, but you've also gone up some people that scored a ton of points. And you have 2 wins in that win column. So that's why you're sitting in 9th place. In 8th to 6th place, it was kind of tough to place people in these standings, but I had to go with Alejandro in 8th place. Alejandro, your team is slowly unraveling, much like your tight green Peter Pan leggings you wore the other day. And it really starts with C.J. Anderson with that out for the rest of the season. That's a huge blow. But overall, your points is barely over 700, and you've allowed just under 700. So 4-4 record. That's right where you are, kind of right even. But good news is you have a couple of winnable games next week. You're playing Billy, and then you're playing Gilbert. So two games that can bring you right back into the playoff hunt. And then next I have Tim at 7th. Tim's got a couple injuries himself that are hurting him, but he also has players that have the ability to go off. So that's kind of why he's ahead of Alejandro. Tim, you've scored about the average amount of points, and you've given up about average points too. So the 3-5 record is really close. And then I have Andrew at 6th. The most exciting thing about Andrew's team is what his team name will be each week. Andrew, your diva wide receivers put you above the 7th and 8th rankings. They can score points, when they do. Along with Grandpa Matt Forte, old man McGee over here. He has the ability to go off. It's just when and if. So as long as your team stays healthy and you can consistently score some points, I think you have a shot to make the playoffs. In 5th place, I have Devin. Yes, Devin, you got a big win last week against Taylor, but that's what your team does. They win the easy ones. When your team wins the most, the opponents put up is 87 points. So every time you've gotten a W, 87 is the highest that the opponent has put up. To put it in perspective, if I had that, I would be 6-2 and sitting at the top in 1st place. But you're still looking like you'll make playoffs. So that's all that matters, and you're ahead of Andrew. In 4th, I put my team. I've put up the 2nd highest points total, and I've given up the 5th most points. My team has been looking hot. I got 2 of the top 3 running backs in DeMarco Murray and Melvin Gordon. They're scoring. So the only running back ahead of them is David Johnson in the points. And then I have Antonio Brown and Aaron Rodgers. So those 4 alone have put up almost 500 points. And so my team is rolling, and we're rolling straight into the playoffs. 3rd is Danielle's team. Yes, she's in 1st place. Yes, her husband probably picked her team for her. But when you look at her team, there are only 2 teams that have scored less points than her. So she's not really doing a whole lot with her husband's team. And she's gone against the least amount of points. So, not scoring a whole lot and not going against a whole lot, But there she is. She's 6-2, sitting alone. I don't know how, but she is. And so that's why she's sitting at third and going to make it to playoffs. And second is the guy with 2 ties. I figured it was suiting for him. Taylor has a couple people to thank. Jamal Charles for allowing Spencer Ware to be, to run the Chiefs' backfield. Logan and myself for letting him get those ties instead of losses, which would put him in a completely different spot. And his loyalty to the Broncos. The Broncos D has been one of the top 3 defenses in the league, and they're scoring points for him. And with as many ties as the NFL, Taylor is looking to prove that even though it's his first time doing fantasy, he's a force to be reckoned with. Then finally, there's Logan, Mr. Suck My Ditka. This team is just good. He's got the number 1 running back, a top 6 wide receiver, top 4 tight end, top 3 defense, and Big Ben is potentially returning this week. So his team can score points, and that's what he does. He's put up the most points this year. So I think we're going to be chasing him the rest of the season. So next week's matchups are Tim versus Adam, Taylor versus Danielle, Logan versus Devin, Andrew versus Gilbert, and Billy versus Alejandro.